Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the Facilities Committee meeting to order, and Mr. Helms and Mrs. Merrill are on the phone. And I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Dave, you're up. CIP and fund balance discussion.
Okay. In the package we sent, we have quite a few numbers, 2018-19 budget.
I can't hear Dave.
You want to come up here, come over there? Sorry.
Okay.
He's coming.
Okay.
Yep, perfect. Is that on? No? Yes. Okay, go ahead. Oh, you need it first. Go ahead. Here, you use that.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me.
Better.
Good deal.
Much better.
All right. I don't want to confuse you by giving you a whole bunch of numbers. The numbers are the purpose of having the numbers on the memo is to tie things together. The gist of this item is that the county approved a facility CIP funding in the amount of, and this is facilities specific, so it's $8.9 million with the fund balance portion of $5.9 million. So those numbers are going to be different than what you're going to be thinking of. I think you'll.
Right, so they gave us 14.8 million, but they split it between their money and the money we have in fund balance. Okay.
You're probably familiar with the $6.5 million number.
Yes.
So what we have done is we've identified specific projects that were not in the county approved CIP. They were labeled as fund balance projects. We've labeled a little bit more than half of the projects for approval today to be labeled as CIP. And the purpose behind this is so that we can get this to go to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee would approve it. And that will save us from having to go to the Finance Committee each and every time we're doing the project.
So it's $3,676,181 worth of projects that you want us to take to the Finance Committee and ask them to release those funds out of the fund balance, and then that has to go to the board. So our approval of this is to send it back to Finance to get their approval, and then it'll go to the full board.
Okay.
And we did this a month ago for a couple little projects, right? And so we approved it in facilities. It went to Finance. Finance approved it, and then it went to the full board because we locked the fund balance down, except with approval of Finance and the board. So this would be asking the Finance Committee to release a little bit less than $3.7 million for the projects that he has in blue to move forward.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do not.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the identified proposed fund balance projects and recommend them to the Finance Committee and the full board.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next.
Next item is MWBE policy revisions. The policy committee is looking at updating the MWBE policy. A couple items on this, specifically the current goal for MWBE participation on construction projects is 5%. Our past history for 2017, 2018 for completed projects was 6.65%. The proposed policy is to raise that goal to 10%. 10% actually matches the state goal, and it's a little bit of a default goal for districts around the state, unless you have your own specific percentage goal. Another item that we would like to also have for consideration is that the threshold for the dollar amounts for MWBE from the state did increase to $300,000, and we wanted to see if the folks would be agreeable to have the threshold match the state threshold of $300,000. Currently, it's $100,000, and the way it's written in the draft policy, it's shown as $100,000. So staff requests the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the revisions to Policy 229 to include increase in the threshold to $300,000 and to increase the participation goal to 10%.
This actually has to go to policy first,
That's right.
and then it'll go to the full board. And I guess I have a couple little changes on it. One, we'll need to hold a public hearing before it has to go to the full, before it can go to the full board, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, correct. That's one of the, that's why I was coming to the table. We need to figure out, and probably it's best for this committee to figure out is how to hold that and facilitate that public hearing and make the recommendation to the board.
Okay. Or policy will figure that out, or you want us to?
It doesn't matter, either one.
Okay,
You've
you'll
got
fit-
two of the same three.
Maybe you can have a recommendation for us at policy and we'll figure that out. Okay, so this would need to go to policy. I have a couple other little things on it. Like, do we really have to identify minority businesses, or do we try to reach minority businesses?
I believe the expectation is for us to identify the ones in the area and then target those in particular. Is that not correct?
So what I'm trying to do is that we will certainly try to reach, and we can reach through the state's database. If we can have the MWBE qualified contractors go through the state to get certified, that's a whole lot easier. If we're trying to
That's a lot of
double
work. Yeah.
that effort. So I think what we would try to do is to take advantage of the state's database and to use it as opposed to trying to identify contractors to then go through the state process.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys have any comments to the proposed policy? And then we need a motion to recommend it to the policy committee. Confusing myself.
Are these changes going to make it more difficult for our processes?
Well, there's
Is it going
more.
to slow things down?
Well, we will try to make it so that it is certainly manageable. Many of the items where, yes, there is more that we have to do, but I do think that we can accomplish that from kind of standard email blast and things like that, where we have the database or access to the database, and we can just be sending out, like I said, an email blast. The one thing that maybe I'd like to also talk about is, I know you all can't see it on the phone, but on the second page, the fourth bullet down, 1, 2, 3, 4, says ensure that everyone who requests it has access to building documents needed for making bids on projects. If the committee could consider, I'd like to say has reasonable access. Okay.
Got it. That's okay. Cool. Okay.
And I think it's worth noting that we also advertise in the minority newspaper as required by the state. So we cover it that way as well. That's a good avenue to for minority businesses to find job opportunities.
And Mark's point is spot on. We already do much of what's in here. There is a little bit more, but we do much of what's already in here.
Okay.
So it's just a goal.
It's just a goal.
It is a goal. If a contractor goes through the effort, makes the effort, and is short of the goal, there's no penalty for him. What we do need them to do is they need to go through the effort, and they need to demonstrate that they went through the effort. And that's where, if they don't successfully demonstrate that they made the effort, that's where things can get difficult for that contractor.
Okay, so this is or is not going to slow things down.
It will
or
not.
we're all,
It will not slow things down. We will have and a couple and additional steps, but that's just we will just have to do that, and we'll see in our bid process and with finance. Finance is going to helps us a great deal, with this. We just need to make sure that we don't overload finance.
It will, but
okay.
it's something that they feel we have to do, I think is what we're hearing.
Right. And this updates the policy to your policy that's in place originated, I think, in 1999 or 2000, and so this has it's much more in keeping with what's around the state.
Okay.
Okay. So I need a motion to recommend these changes to policy 2-29 to the policy committee.
So moved.
So, okay,
Second.
I'll take yours as a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next thing is amendment to easement and deed for the transportation facility.
Okay, we have been working with the adjacent property owner, and they are in agreement with the proposed easement change that we have. And I would tell you that the easement change is so slight, it is very difficult to see which is the original easement and which is the revised easement. But the purpose behind the easement adjustment is to avoid a patch of wetlands area. And so the property owner is in agreement. He's already signed the amendment. And what we're asking is that staff request the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the amendment and easement and deed. This is again, this is for the transportation project. It's the access to the site that we access through the adjacent property to reach our site.
Can I have a motion to recommend to the full board the amendment to the driveway easement for the transportation facility?
So moved.
Motion to send to the full board for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, Sun Valley Bond.
We have it's called a CMT fee proposal. CMT is construction materials testing and special inspections. It's an engineering effort where we have a qualifications-based selection. We're proposing Terracon, who has provided the engineering work on this project to date for geotechnical and wetlands, and they also will be providing asbestos services. This is not a bid, but it is a cost estimate. It's based on what the consultant thinks the fee will end up being. It is largely dependent on the construction contractors and their means and methods. It's also dependent on any unforeseen issues that may come up, which is why you can't put a hard number on this. And again, it's an engineering item, so we don't bid those type services. The estimated fee is $181,510. Our current balance, soft cost balance, is $262,000. The only items that are remaining in our soft cost are this item, CMT, and the asbestos abatement monitoring. We actually did receive that number just this week, so both numbers fit into that $262,000 number. So we're good there. Staff requests the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the fee for construction materials testing and special inspection services anticipated for the upcoming Sun Valley High School bond-funded construction project in the proposed amount of $181,510.
I have a motion to send this to the full board for approval, to recommend.
Motion to send to the full board for approval.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Surplus mobile unit.
Okay. back in June 5th, the Board of Education surplus several mobile units. I think it was 49, if I remember correctly, mobile units. And in that, 8 were from Sandy Ridge Elementary School. Since that time, the after-school program has requested that we keep one of those mobile units for their use. And staff is requesting the Facilities Committee recommend to the Board of Education to rescind the surplus designation for the specific mobile unit. It's mobile unit number 2, and we have the serial number in it. It's DW2440641, and that's at Sandy Ridge Elementary School.
I would like to point out that although we looked at the mobile units initially, we've had tremendous success with the after-school program, and this is a result of them having a great program and needing extra capacity. So that's why we're bringing this to you all.
Awesome.
Do you foresee any other schools needing an after-school MCR?
I would say that we are bursting at the seams right now. We've done some innovative things in working with the schools to accommodate the programs. The schools find that they are valuable for them as well. So I don't at this time. That's not to say that it won't come up in the future. You know, we're already into the 2nd month of school, so we hope things have settled down a little bit.
Okay.
Have we gotten rid of all the other surplus? We have not, right?
I believe all are removed except for those at Sandy Ridge
Okay.
Elementary School.
Have we sold them or?
We have,
Okay.
and we're just working and dealing with that particular buyer.
We saw a bunch. What road were we on, Melissa?
Ridge Road.
Right. Yeah, those were from.
Those
Porter
ours?
Ridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they
Like,
used to be.
those look like
Used
ours.
to be. They're not ours anymore.
Okay. Okay. So
So those are sold.
Yeah.
Right, and they had to get them off our property, and they had a specific date, so they worked it out that way that they got them off our property, met the date, got rid of all the material that they were supposed to. We were pleased with that.
that's awesome. Okay. So
I have to say, Porter Ridge Middle School looks fantastic without all those trailers sitting there.
Well, it's a work in progress.
we'll have
We
to
still
go
have
look at
some more to
Wingate
go.
too and see what it looks like.
Looks great.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, so you need a motion to send this to the board?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I make a motion that we send this request to the full board for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so just to keep everybody on, so for consent agenda on Tuesday night, we're going to do the amendment to the easement. We're going to give the Sun Valley Bond, the construction material testing, and the deletion of the MCR. So those will go to
Okay.
consent, and the other 2, one will go to finance and one will go to policy. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay.
So now we're on to the information section of the meeting versus action.
So on capital projects, Benton Heights Elementary School auditorium addition renovations, that project is coming along nicely. We're getting close to the final stages. We have a little bit more than a month before the contractor thinks that they're going to be substantially complete. I walked through the project yesterday afternoon. Was happy to see in the auditorium. It's painted. Still painting going on. They're getting ready to install the chairs. On the financial side, the contractor's completed and been paid for $2.6 million. Of the $4.3 million project, or 60%, we're certainly expecting that the next pay application will be a substantial one. We haven't had any change orders on this project that affected the contract price. However, we have this project. We had to value engineer. The funding for this project is exhausted. And we have some more items that are coming up that potentially could become a change order. One being the final excavation of the pond that remains, and that there's a high potential that we're going to hit unsuitable soils, but we will see, when we get there.
And then you would have to come back to us if there's more money needed.
Right, and what we would
Okay.
do is identify that. Yes, Dave.
We do have some money contractors, correct? And I've sent it back to them.
Okay. So it appears as though our allowance balance might be different than what we were.
Okay.
We may have as much as 8,000, but I'm working with the contractor and architect
Okay.
to clarify that. They were incorrect. They gave me the wrong picture. When I went back over the books, I
Okay.
found some more money.
Okay.
So we might have some help.
All right. So we might have a little bit of remaining funds in that. And we'll see if, number one, if we encounter any unsuitable soils that do require an adjustment. We do have some minor things that we do also want to, that we feel we will need to pursue. We will exhaust the allowances if there are, if we go beyond the allowances, we will identify CIP savings to try to cover any difference there.
Okay.
Jumping over to the A-phone video doorbells, that project has started. The 11 schools are underway.
How many are we doing? Do you remember? All 30?
Elementary schools.
Okay. Some of them already had it
Yes.
though, right? Okay.
Yeah, and some of the other schools have them too.
Okay.
On CIP, let me mention Sun Valley High School chiller. This is a little bit dated, but it does go back to the beginning of school. The Board of Education approved on July 10th emergency funding for replacing of a chiller. We were able to get the chiller installed prior to the start of school. That was our big concern. And there was some pain and suffering, you know, as we knew that there would be in the weeks leading up to beginning of school. But we did get the chiller online before school started. We were all very pleased with that. That was a nice accomplishment. Overall, on the 2017-18 CIP status, there are 97 funded items. 59 of those are complete. 17 are under construction. 15 were in the bid phase, and 6 are in the design phase, and that adds up to 97. Recall several of the projects' bids exceeded their budgets to the point we had to rework the projects and wait for a better bid climate. So that's part of that 15. And those projects will be bidding again this fall and winter. We're actually in the bid phase now for the canopy project. We had to come back for that. And we have another project that.
The tracks were one of those too, right?
The tracks, we did bid that. We were over budget. We aren't back out to bid on that yet.
Okay.
We have another one that's out to bid, and it's just escaping me as to which one that is. But
Okay.
so on the bond update, we have 7 bond projects. 5 of those bond projects are awarded, so 5 out of 7. 1 is in the bid phase, that's Sun Valley High School, and 1 is in the design phase, and that's transportation. Monroe High School additions and renovations. The auditorium has been painted. The auditorium annex is under construction. Foundations, concrete block, hollow metal frames. They're all either up or in progress. The classroom wing, the building pad is established. They did have a utility that was in conflict and had to get moved, and that they'll be starting on foundations shortly. That project is approximately 11% complete. Piedmont High School painting is in progress in the auditorium. Masonry is complete, and gypsum wallboard is in progress. That contract is 32% paid out, and no increase due to change orders to that contract value. As I mentioned, Sun Valley High School, that's in the bid phase. So we received bids on Tuesday. Note that we had originally planned to receive bids a week ago, but due to the hurricane, we moved that date. And the fear was that we weren't going to be getting bid participation. We had the CM at Risk contractor had approximately 31 bid packages. 9 of those were able to be opened. So there were at least 3 bids on 9 of those 31 bid packages. 13 had bid participation, but did not have 3 bidders, so those were not opened. And we had no bids on another 9 bid packages. That's going to be rebid for those that were not opened next week.
Great.
Porterage High, Porterage Middle School, we had the pre-construction meeting on September 18th. Prior to the storm, the contractor was planning to mobilize by the end of this month. I actually haven't heard whether the storm impacted that or not. Their substantial completion is next year prior to the beginning of school year. I think it's July. Transportation Center project, we have made our applications for annexation and the conditional district processes through the city of Monroe. That occurred this week. What we expect, we hope that the approval date for those items is December 4th. And our tentative bid award schedule is aggressive, but we hope to advertise in October, receive bids in November, and award in December. And again, that's an aggressive schedule. Western Union Elementary School, I was out at that site last night. The fencing is mostly in place and it looks good. So we've got the brick piers, the architectural metal fencing. The fencing that's not complete is that section that's screening the mechanical
Right
area.
next to the main to the right of the main entrance facing the school. Okay.
And that has a louver system. And so that had a longer lead item.
Okay.
And the connecting corridor, the framing is underway on that.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone have any other questions on the construction update?
When will Western Union get those louver screenings? What's the timeline on receiving that and getting that installed? What month?
Let me get back to you on that. I think I know, but I don't want to say and be wrong.
Okay.
But I'll send you an email on that.
Okay.
Change order log.
We had 4 change orders that we're showing. Total, we had deductive change orders in the amount of $37,000. So that reduced the price of the contract by $37,000 and change. We had 2 additive change orders that were $10,000 and change. So all in all, we were good by $27,000.
Good. Surplus materials. There's not much on there.
All right, we have a list. It's from Child Nutrition, some signs, a stacked washer dryer combo, and from facilities, it's some library tables, some chairs, end tables, some weight equipment, and some baby car seats, and 2 marquee signs.
Okay. Building and zoning. That's just for our information. Are you seeing anything that Porter Ridge 207 units? I guess we have to go back on this. I know that Don Ogram keeps track of like what Dr. McKibben was seeing when he made his projections. If we could just match that up and see what's new that we didn't know about that is now coming online.
Certainly we can look at that. I mean, what I'll tell you generally is most projections go based on areas and what the potential is. And it's, sometimes the potential is realized and sometimes it's not yet,
right.
So.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I do not.
I'm good.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.